Pokémon, one of the biggest franchises of all time. It certainly won most of its popularity thanks to the variety of interesting and unique Pokemon designs. Cute designs, cool designs, whatever that is, but mainly the variety and all of the iconic things that this franchise has is the reason as to why it's the most profitable video game franchise in the world. But said variety is not relegated to only their designs. And for the people that has seen this channel, you know that I really love sports. So I wanted to do something fun. Seeing how the playoffs of the NBA started recently, I decided to make this video. A video in which I create an NBA roster capable of winning the ring just by using Pokemons. But how am I supposed to do that? Well, I'm gonna take the 10 Pokemon that I feel that are the most fitting to make a 10-man rotation to win in the playoffs and win in the championship. Using the individual characteristics of the Pokemons, I'm gonna decide which is the one that is most fitting in both the starting 5 and the bench. The only rule that is gonna apply in this video is that I'm not gonna use a single legendary nor mythical Pokemon to make the roster. I want to create an NBA champion, not recreate the Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant. The roster is gonna be fully balanced and with no egos to prevent the potential 2004 Lakers to happen again. And with nothing else to explain, let's start with point guard. For a lot of people, just the guy that passes the ball. For others, the single most important piece on the team. Certainly, the point guard has been, historically speaking, the engines of the biggest offenses in the history of the game. Most of the greatest dynasties of all time has had their own elite point guard. They have had their own Magic Johnson, their own Stephen Curry, their own Bob Cousy. It doesn't matter if he's a classic point guard who is a pass-fair type of player, or being a modern point guard, sacrificing a little bit of the passing in order to become a much more deadly weapon from the 3-point range. Historically, it's one of the two most important positions in the game, so I wanted to start with it. And among all of the over 1000 Pokemons and 9 gens, we have to go really early in time to Gen 3. Because yeah, the most fitting to be the starting point guard of our team is certainly Blaziken. He might seem like a weird choice, but don't get fooled by its appearance. He's not the best defensive player, and he's usually testing the waters in the first quarter instead of actually doing damage to the opposing team. But his conditioning is immaculate, and he has the capacity of taking off every single game, especially the closer the buzzer gets. 6'1", freakish athleticism, and a good 3-point shooter. All of that while also being the best passer in the game. His defense might be lackluster at times, but his capacity of crushing every single opposing team is gonna compensate for all of that. Similar to Luka Doncic, if you're dropping 35 points with 10 assists, what does it matter if your defense is not that great? If you're looking at defense in the guard position, you better look at the shooting guard. Historically, the strongest scorers of the team. Usually, the guys that you want with the ball in the hands when you need to take a shot. But in our team, we appreciate the modern approach more. The 3-and-D type of guy, the spot-up shooter, the great perimeter defender. Every team needs at least one of these players. Not everyone needs to be a superstar. You need your Klay Thompsons, your Danny Greens, your Caldwell Popes, and yeah, I'm refusing to call it Kentavious. And if you want that elite role player that is gonna elevate your team to the next level, you have to look no further than Galarian Slowbro. He might look like a little derpy guy, because he is, but don't get fooled by its looks, because its abilities on the court are the things that are gonna lead you to a win. He is oblivious of the taunts of the opponent. He's not gonna let that Anthony Edwards to get in his head. He's a sticky defender, multiple time all defense, that he's not gonna let any bucket to be easy. And his scoring nights might be streaky, but to compensate, he is the quickest shooter in the entirety of the league. He might not score 20 points every night, but scoring 13 points while locking down the best offensive player of the other team, I would say that it compensates. You might not notice when it is, but you will certainly suffer when he's not. But well, we should start talking right now about role players, because now we go to the absolute star of the team in the shooting forward. Usually the most complete player in the team, able to do everything, from scoring, to rebounding, to passing the ball, The shooting forward position includes some of the greatest players of all time. Larry Bird, Scottie Pippen, LeBron James. I said LeBron. Who can be the representation of LeBron if it is not Mr. Garchamp? He is the bona fide superstar of the team. Over 15 years of dominance that just started to slow down a little bit last year. Oh, what a coincidence, like LeBron. One of the biggest freak of nature and one of the biggest minds in the entire of the game. He has shown his skills everywhere and every single time. Elite defensive player, deadly close to the rim, and later in his career, also a solid mid-range and three-point shooter. It is almost poetic how similar the careers of both Garchamp and LeBron are, and being able to adapt all over the years to still be considered one of the greatest, and how after so many years they finally stopped being the greatest. And both of them partially due to a fat guy. Anyways, now moving on to a power forward. Over the years, the power forward has been the position that has changed the most the role by far. From being a shorter and more athletic center to being a taller and less athletic shooting forward, all the way up to turn into a solid shooter, the power forward has had a difficult history to evaluate. However, if there's someone that can fit in all of those roles, is undisputably Hatterene, the perfect connection for the entirety of the team, the Draymond Green of both the offense and the defense. Hatterene is easily one of the most versatile wingers in the entire of the league. Slow on the fast break, but other than that, an elite player, really solid defensive player that is extremely smart on the court, and a potential superstar in the offense as well, but that understands the role that fulfills in order to play winning basketball. In an insane 6'11", it's incredible to think that nobody gave it a chance until this team came around. And to finish the starting lineup, we have to go with a center, the big man of the team, the defensive anchor, the single most iconic position in basketball. It has had most of the greatest players of all time. And because it's the only thing that is needed in our starting five, he needs to be an insane rim protector. And who is better for that job than Buswell? And yeah, the Ultra Beasts are not legendary, so I'm gonna count them. With a ridiculous 7'10" and 750 pounds of pure muscle, he is the undisputable most absolute wall that you can get in the rim. Multiple time DPOY, it is said that its body is the inspiration for a player called Ben Wallace. He's not trying any shot that is farther than 3 feet off the rim, and he cannot score a free throw even if it lives depended on it. But as the defensive anchor of the team, you don't care about those things. He's gonna bully anyone in the paint, and he's gonna get a lot of blocks. Rudy Gobert would be embarrassed if he ever dared to look at this monster, and he's the only known player in history that is capable of touching the top of the board, outside of Will Chamberlain, but we don't talk about that here. If you want more content like this, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It not only helps the channel, but also helps you to prevent watching your team getting swept this season. And if your team already got swept, don't worry, mine was as well. And because no champion has been created without having some relief to the starters, we have to go now with the bench players. The bench players are usually more specialized. Players that are good in one thing, but not that good in the others. And that's the reason as to why they have won a spot in the rotation, but not as starters. However, that does seem to be the truth for the first one in this spot, which is Palafin. Wait, a dolphin? Yeah, a dolphin. As a starter, he's not really good. He's so bad actually that he would not start in any team in the league, outside of the Washington Wizards. But when he comes off the bench is when he shines the most. Looking like an absolute bulldozer, he's able to make damage off the bench against any team in any capacity. Not only that, but even his defense is pretty solid. He is just a superstar in the making, waiting for the time that he's finally ready to be a full-time starter. Now, Palafin is a great player, but we need a true spark of great 3-point shooting off the bench. So now, I have to go with Intellian. This absolute madman has been the headache for a lot of teams. He is unable to do anything meaningful in defense, and he's not really good of a creator for others. But if there's something that he has, and a lot of it, is that he is one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. Call it your Duncan Robinson or Luke Kennard of the bench, this guy is there to spark the offense and gave some possibility of a great comeback when things are going south. And he's not just a great spot-up shooter, but he is the single greatest sniper in the entirety of the league. Now, in the other side of the spectrum, we have another Pokemon that gives a lot of effort, just that this time is in the defensive end. Screamtail is a terrible offensive player for the team. He's the type of player that is not gonna average more than 5 points, but what Screamtail does provide is a great defense off the bench. If the problem in the starting 5 is that the defense is not being great, this guy is gonna be the solution. Another bona fide star in the defensive end, whose only drawback has been that of the offense, it has shaped its playstyle to be one of a defensive menace, and it has resulted in a great 8-man of the team. Now, we have to go for the fastest player in the entirety of the team, which would be, in this case, Electrode. What does he do on the court? He's the ball. And to wrap it off, we had the 10-man in the rotation, which is, this time, Grimmsnarl, a player who has struggled over the past couple seasons. He's just an above average offensive player, while also being a bad defensive player. But there's one thing that he knows how to do. His positioning and being the undisputable best screen setter in the league.
Yeah, not kidding, he's actually setting screens in Pokemon.
He might not be a big threat by itself, but with Inteleon at the 3-point line, his screens become much more deadly. The pick and roll and pick and pop becomes a really useful tool if the regular offense becomes stagnated, and that wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for him. Some players that fell off the rotation would be Charizard, the high school superstar that sadly never translated its full potential into an NBA court. Archeops, a potential superstar whose choker reputation prevented him to break through in any possible playoff scenario. And a lowland executor, he's just a tall guy. He would be the Marjanovic of the team. Pure vibes off the bench. Never a star, but everyone likes him. So, we have to give it his props. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you all enjoyed it. This video was completely different of every other that I have done in the channel. So if you want more content like this, leave a like, comment and subscribe. It would help me to understand that you actually love this type of thing, which is, as I'm saying, completely different to everything else. So without anything else to explain, see you next time, bye bye.